I hope you're feeling like working because today we're talking about workspaces, in particular, workspace settings. Hello, and welcome back to my video series on Microsoft Fabric. If you're new here, I'm currently making a video to help me prepare for every single topic on the DP 600. I believe it's Analytics Engineer Associate exam. Uh, and I'm currently working my way through the study guide that Microsoft published. All right, so today we're talking about workspace settings. So let's go ahead and let's jump into Microsoft Fabric. So here we are in a Microsoft Fabric trial workspace. And I was just in the settings because I was preparing for this video. But you can get into the workspace settings if you're a workspace admin by going ahead and clicking this workspace settings. Now, just a note for this video, I'm not going to be talking about the tenant workspace settings. I'm interpreting this line item as the workspace settings of the workspace that affect Microsoft Fabric. So when you open up the workspace settings, you will see a lot of different kind of basic things. So for example, the name, the description, the data domain, if you're currently implementing a data mesh, the workspace context. So here you see my name. You'll see this little gem icon, which will show you the license configuration. So if your workspace was in a premium capacity, you'd be able to see what capacity the workspace is actually assigned to. So in this case, it's currently assigned to a trial capacity. Within Azure, you'll be able to set if you want your Power BI or your semantic models to, or I believe any of your Fabric objects to store in Gen 2 Azure Data Lake storage, which the advantage of that for Power BI would mean that you could take a backup of your semantic models super easily. You could also turn on log analytics so you could see how the workspace performs over time. Within system storage, you can actually see kind of all of the system space that you're using. Within Git integration, you can turn on things like version control. This is something that we're going to be covering in an upcoming video. But then finally, we start getting into some of these Fabric settings. And some of these are new. Not to say that the Azure connections wasn't, but the OneLake setting is new. So in this one, what you can do is you can download the OneLake app so you can interact with your data seamlessly through, well, like it says, Files Explorer. But you can also adjust the cache for shortcuts. And shortcuts are what allows you to directly read your data as it sits in popular data platforms like Snowflake or Fabric, or not Fabric, Databricks. Finally, you have this workspace identity, which allows you to create a service principal for your workspace. So that way it can authenticate against other Azure services. Really cool. Yeah, like I normally configuring this kind of thing, like you'd have to kind of go through a few different approvals. Here you can do it just here. You'll also then finally have your network security. So here you can create managed endpoints so you can log securely into your data within the workspace. And then finally, I'm going to ignore the majority of these Power BI settings, although just click through them quickly, but you'll have your general, so you can create a template app. So that would mean you could create an application and sell it. You would have data model settings, so you could edit the data model through an XMLA endpoint, which, by the way, coming up in another video, you could allow contributors to update the app. You'll have your data connections. So if someone doesn't have access to, like, for example, a direct query and they try to download your semantic model, it'll kill it. You'll have your embed codes, which obviously I don't have, but that would be like if I'm trying to embed my Power BI report in a web app. I'll have my delegated settings, which this would be if the Microsoft Fabric tenant lets me set this, which, by the way, they can like shut this off, but this would allow someone to authenticate into OneLake with user delegated tokens, right? For security. And then finally, we have our Apache settings. So Apache has two open source technologies. They're made by separate companies, but the Apache Foundation manages them that are currently in play in Fabric. And that's Apache Spark and Apache Airflow. In Apache Spark, we have our pools, which is what, for example, like our notebooks or like the compute of our data lake or our warehouses would run on, which is where we can configure these settings. if they've been delegated to us. So, for example, high concurrency, automatic logging, the total like running jobs, the environment in which we're configuring, so like the Spark version. And then kind of right, like if we wanted to install modules into Python by default, I think is what that's talking about. Our pool, so like what kind of pool we're using, if we want to create a new pool. And then within Apache Airflow, and Airflow is a data orchestration tool, we also have the compute pool for that, which in this case, we could set that to be a new pool. All right, so that was a 5 minute and 39-second run through of the workspace settings in Microsoft Fabric. I think I'm gonna just speed run that. If, if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. And if you're interested in seeing more videos like this, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.